If you've been struggling with how to find your voice and how to really discover your own genius, well, this is the video that's going to help you do just that. It's really interesting. A lot of times when people are really excited about making a difference, about speaking, about growing their business, there's this nagging pain that shows up, which is, well, what's my unique voice, right? And I'm not talking about your singing voice, of course. I'm talking about what makes you stand out. What makes what you say different than everyone else out there, so you don't feel like you're adding to the noise that's out there, or even worse, getting lost in the noise that's out there. I mean, imagine taking a cup of water and throw it into the ocean. It's not really doing anything. And that's what a lot of people feel like when they try to speak and they try to get their message out there, that ultimately they feel like they're getting lost in the noise because they just haven't found their voice. They haven't found that one thing that can make them different and stand out above the noise and not add to clutter, but actually support and declutter the noise, if you will. Well, I want you to understand, first of all, why I even care about this in the first place. The reason why I care is that for so long, I personally just struggled with asking myself, well, what am I doing in this world? Like, who am I and what's my purpose? And if you've ever had that role, you'll find that external success doesn't necessarily answer that question. You might find yourself actually achieving a lot of externalized material success, but still questioning what you want to do when you grow up. Because there's something that you just wish if you could grab onto and you can hold on to, it would give your life meaning and it would make you feel like you weren't just doing things to make money. One of my mentors, he used to work, he did not work, it was his company, he acquired it, but they made soda. And one of the challenges that he dealt with for this very, very large soda company was like, is he just rotting people's teeth for a living? And he struggled with that one. He was like, well, they wanted to use better ingredients and, better packaging and do things for their company. But he struggled with that question of, but at the end of the day, am I just rotting people's teeth? And what he decided to do was to dedicate himself to being an entrepreneurship mentor. And he built a very successful company, sold it, never had to work a day in his life. And I was lucky enough to have him be my mentor. And I met him when I was a student at Binghamton University. His name is Angelo Mastrangelo, an incredible guy, one of my first mentors and mentor to this day. And one of the things that I loved about Ange and what he was able to do for me that I needed so desperately was he believed in me before I had the ability to believe in myself. He told me I can be a star. He's like, you're going to be a star, kid. You're going to do great. And he gave me these ideas and these strategies, how to find business opportunities and how to get over my own mental roadblocks. And I'm forever grateful that he was willing to invest his time and energy into a teenager. I was about 19 years old when I met him and completely unrefined. But when he helped me, I just knew I wanted to do that back for other people. I knew I wanted to help others, but I just couldn't figure out how to find my voice. And I went through so many different iterations of how I presented and things I talked about, trying to figure out what was the best way for me to help others. And what was beautiful about that process is trying to discover what my thing was. It led me to understand how much I love this art of speaking. Whether I was speaking to inner city students, which I have, or speaking to political dignitaries at the White House, which I have, and speaking to large business professionals, speaking on the TEDx stage, which I've done at the time of this recording 3 different times, spoken to over 500,000 people, almost 750,000 to date, 48 states, 5 countries, speaking to business owners, to corporate folks, to students, to young people. What I found that tied all of it together was my ability to truly understand the beauty of the art of the medium of public speaking. I don't know anyone who's put in as much time and effort researching the nuances, the minute detail to how to impact someone in the shortest amount of time at the highest possible amount. And what I realized is by trying to find my own voice and going through that process, actually the meta of it, the overall arching view was I can help people understand how to impact people more through speaking. And that became just something I just am wildly passionate about. And now that I get to help others share their message, knowing that they're going to impact people I'm never going to meet. One of the limitations I dealt with was, even though at the top of my career, I was doing probably about 105 speaking engagements per year, which is an insane schedule. It was over 200 days on the road. So literally I was on the road more days than I was home. And at the time I didn't have a wife or kids, so it was manageable. And, when I realized that no matter how many events I did, I can't get everybody. I can only get a tenth of a percent of the amount of people that I could impact. I just kind of asked myself, well, how do I take all that I've learned and do more with it? So literally the process of trying to find my voice and find all the events I could speak at and all the people that I can impact and all the money that I made doing it and all the great experiences I had, what actually came from it was that unique voice, that thing that I can do that I think I truly believe best in the world at. Not because I think so highly of myself, it's because I know all the work that I've put in for over 14 years. So sometimes when you look to find your voice, it's apparent, it's obvious. You know exactly what you care about. You know exactly what your mission and what you're passionate about. And sometimes it's a process. But what I can tell you is the pursuit of that process is a worthy journey. I see so many people who are sitting around waiting, hoping that by some magical moment they will wake up and some synapse in their brain is going to fire and they'll know exactly what they should talk about, exactly how they should say it, and exactly who they should say it to. And I found in my experience it doesn't work that way. The analogy that I like to think about is this long corridor. Now, if you're starting right here, right, at the end of that corridor is what that goal is. You say, okay, this is the goal. But as you walk down it, there's doors to your left and to your right that you literally didn't even know existed until you started moving down the hallway. Now, that door on the left or right could actually be the door that you're supposed to go through, but you never would have seen it unless you would have started on the journey. Now, obviously, going with someone who can mentor you and give you suggestions and lower your learning curve is super important. And to be very honest with you, it's really damn near impossible to do on your own. Now, a lot of people say, hey, you could figure this out on your own or just take time. I would say, no, you can't. And here's why. It takes people an incredible amount of time and dedication to get really good at their particular craft. You're good at what you do because you've spent an incredible amount of time, more time than anyone could ever realize. It's impossible to be the world expert at 50 things. People typically are the world expert at one or two things. That's why they get mentorship. That's why they get coaches. They're getting people who are world class at what they do to help them become the best version of themselves. That's why athletes have their head coach, but they also have like a strength and conditioning coach and a mental coach and an offensive drill coach and a defensive drill coach. And they have, someone who specializes in this and that and all these different things, because what any smart person realizes is they can't on their own become the best in everything that they want to do. But what you can do is get people on your team and people who are really good at what they do to help you shorten your learning curve and also show you things that you just can't figure out on your own because we're all limited by time. So I genuinely love what I do, and I can tell you that if you love what you do, marrying public speaking with it is the best, most powerful way to truly leave an impact and a legacy on this world. And if you want to not just shorten your learning curve, but learn things you could just never learn on your own, I'd love to help you with that process. And it's not because I genuinely think that I am some genius. I just think I've dedicated more hours and more time than most people would think is reasonable to learn about one specific thing. I would argue in the same way you have to get really good at what you do. So if you'd love to shorten your learning curve and learn things that you may never know, I encourage you to start on this journey. Just start. If you know what you love, go out and do it. But if you're not sure, just start somewhere. You'll be surprised at how being on a stage and saying something might lead you to an epiphany and have a magic moment that you never could have predicted. Or maybe you meet someone who asks you a question that makes you think about things differently. Or maybe you have a life experience that causes you to shift your perspective. And then you discover that voice. And maybe you just need someone to guide you with the right questions and the right support, who've already been to the top of the mountain, who can be your Sherpa to get you there. But I can promise you the best way to find the thing you really care about is to start. It doesn't happen magically by some magic moment that just as an epiphany jumps into your head. It comes from starting the journey. And if you want to start this journey, and it's really important to you to not just impact people, not just build a business, but do both of those, I really, really would love to help you through that and give you some incredible insights so that you can impact people that honestly I'll never meet. And I don't know what's more beautiful than that, than creating a legacy in this world where you're helping people be better and you benefit. I'm big on the idea of and. I don't believe in or. A lot of people say I can either impact people or make an income. I think you can make an income and impact people if done the right way. Hey, if you like that video, make sure you hit that like button before you go and hit the subscribe button so you can get more of our great content so it goes to the top of the algorithm. And if you head over to Talkadot.com, not only will you get more in-depth resources there to help you with your speaking, but also you'll be able to get a free account for our amazing software tool that helps speakers like you pull leads from your speaking engagements, get data so you can actually have objectifiable information on why you're so good at what you do and how to use that data to book more speaking engagements. If you want to find out what Talkadot is, head over to Talkadot.com. And remember, if you want to talk a lot, head over to Talkadot. See what I did there? Just go to the website. Trust me, it'll make more sense when you're there. I'll see you at the next video.